right, y'all. AM FM, Radio Free Go-Go.
Good morning, DC. Wake up and feel the sunshine with the absolute supernova that is the Capitol Hoop Caucus. I am Wardell McCabe, and I am joined as always by my two co-hosts. First is a man who likes his ice cream with hot fudging sprinkles. It's Isaac Harris, and the man to his left, someone who loves his ice cream with some crushed up Oreos. It's Troy Halliburton. Gentlemen, you get your ice cream orders right this week.
Actually, you did not. I'm not a fudge guy.
Not a fudge guy.
No, man.
You got mine right. I love me a good cookies and cream. You know,
Yeah, I mean, you got good taste.
Yeah, I also love. I just had some great mint chocolate chip this week.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Ideal taste.
It got me back on it. So
Nice.
yeah.
Do you ever do the Oreos with the mint chocolate chip or just separate?
Oh man, see now you out here mixing up stuff like that God wasn't intended to create. Like
I'm Icarus, though. I like to fly a little close to the sun.
Wardell does not have ideal taste. There you go. There you go. Wink, wink.
Well,
Pun,
what?
pun.
Hey,
I like that. I see what you did. I see what you did there.
See?
Clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, but what is your favorite ice cream then?
My favorite ice cream, if I can get it as a flavor, it's very rare if I can find it, cotton candy.
Cotton candy. Okay.
Yeah,
A
and
little
then
Cold Stone, I think.
Yeah, a little Cold Stone or Baskin Robbins, or just plain vanilla with rainbow sprinkles.
All right, and hey, they're
Hey,
not a sponsor yet.
Oh,
Maybe
man. Hey,
one
look,
day,
I was
maybe one
gonna
day.
give a shout out to a non-sponsored ice cream though, just because they've been in the news this week. Shout out to Ben and Jerry.
All the time.
all the
Always
time,
for Ben and
always
Jerry's.
always for
Always
Ben and Jerry.
Everyone loves that fish food. That one's always a great one. But anyways, let's get on to the real question of the week. What is the best thing you've ever bought? Let's start with Isaac.
My 2006 Chevrolet Monte Carlo with a cherry bomb in it.
Man, very nice.
Daytona Rolex.
Oh,
Yeah,
damn.
birth year.
Okay, hell yeah, that's a flex.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Isaac, I think I got to match you on the cars. My all-time favorite was my 78 Thunderbird. When I bought that, that was probably when I bought it when I was longboarding down the Shenandoah Mountains. That's the closest I'll ever get to sounding like a story from Bill Walton. But that one is that for me. But let's get on from the cars and let's move on to the focus of the show. What is the point of the Capitol Hoop Caucus, Troy?
Oh, the point of the Capitol Hoop Caucus is to be the preeminent basketball show, talking all aspects of basketball in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. That means from preps to pros. That means women's and men's. If they're throwing up that orange ball, we're talking about it.
That's absolutely right. And you can catch us every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN 630. That's right. We are on the radio every single week. You can also catch us on the podcast feed, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. And when you find us, please be sure to give us a 5-star rate and review to help us reach other hoop heads in the area. And as I mentioned before, we are on YouTube. So when you have the chance, go ahead and head over there and give us a like and subscribe to help us continue to grow the show. And speaking of the show, let's get to today's. There has been a very significant development for all of how you will be watching not just the Wizards, but the Mystics Go-Go and every other local sport airing on the Monumental Sports Network. So we'll discuss everything you need to know as fans. Elsewhere, Will Dawkins spoke to the media earlier this week ahead of training camp. So we'll give you the lowdown on some key points made during his media availability. And speaking of training camp, we're only a mere 2 days away from the opening of the Wizards training camp. So we'll continue our positional group previews this week with a focus on Washington's wings. And no, not the ones that come drenched in mumbo, but instead the deepest part of the Wizards roster. And we'll be assessing what each player's outlook is for the upcoming season and letting you know what to expect from them in the coming months. And hey, next week, we'll have our positional preview of the bigs. And since there are so few on the roster right now, it also means that we'll have some time to open up the mailbag. So text in any questions that you have this week for us next week on the Wizards at 833-377-6630. That's 833-377-6630. You can also do so by opening up the podcast description of this episode and clicking message the show, or by leaving a comment on this very YouTube video down below, or even on social media. Where, Isaac?
at Cap Hoop Caucus on X and Capital Hoop Caucus on Instagram.
That's absolutely right. And, well, we have a very special announcement, folks. Capital Hoop Caucus, we've got our very first piece of merch. That's right, this brand new CHC pin. Let's go ahead and put that up to the camera so that way you all can see that. So here's what we're going to do. For everyone that messages the show with a question, you are entered in for your chance to win one of these right here for free. We'll take care of the shipping and handling. All you have to worry about is giving us the name, the question, and then we'll respond to you and try to get your address so that we know exactly where to send it. So again, that's next week. We'll have the positional group preview for the Wings, and then we will open up the mailbag. So let's get back to today's show, though. After the positional group preview on the Wings today, we'll then run the full court press to check in on the WNBA playoffs, and then we'll close it out with trivia time from the line. But first, as always, let's start off with the Beltway Beat. Said it at the start. The first thing we have to talk about, and I really do mean have to talk about, is the Monumental Sports Network, because earlier this week, Axios' Sarah Fisher reported that Monumental Sports Network has said that YouTube TV and Hulu with Live TV do not intend to renew their distribution deals. And those deals were initially forged through a broader distribution package with Comcast, NBC Universal, the previous majority owner of the former NBC Sports Washington, and our very own Isaac. He plugged Troy's Substack, Ideal Taste, earlier. When the reason why is because our own Troy had a lot to say about this. The article being Monumental Crossroads, why losing YouTube TV and Hulu may be the best thing to happen to DC Sports. Troy, I give you the floor.
Yeah, I appreciate Isaac for burying the lead there because I dealt some taste this morning. And you know what? I really, it really dawned on me that, Monumental Sports is at a very, I don't know, they're at a fork in the road moment for where they are as a regional sports network. And, I think that the decisions that they make over the next coming weeks are going to have, lasting, long, impactful effects on the DC sports community, on how we watch sports. And so, with them talking about that YouTube TV and Hulu are in negotiations right now to pull Monumental Sports from their streaming services. And, at the rate that, the negotiations are looking right now, it doesn't seem as though that they're going to come to a resolution by September 30th. And, I really believe that Monumental Sports has put themselves, they backed themselves into a corner with, the position they're putting themselves in from a business standpoint, purely based on the fact that, that they really aren't capable of going out there and providing the service that, I think that the DC sports fans actually deserve and need when it comes to watching the Capitals, the Wizards, and the Mystics. And so by putting themselves in this position, by Hulu and YouTube TV deciding that they're going to come and remove Monumental Sports, it now leaves Wizards fans who were relying on those services to watch games that they're going to have to look for a new avenue to tune into basketball.
Oh yeah, and I don't want to sound like I'm exaggerating here, but this is such a significant crossroads that this is probably the most important decision and path forward that the Leonses have ever had to make while in ownership of these franchises. This can have a very massive and meaningful impact on the entirety of all sports fans in this area for the next 20 years, perhaps even. And so I think that that's where all eyes are really on this. And I probably should have mentioned that, as Troy had said, that the current deal, it ends September 30th. And so what is happening in these conversations to this point that has been revealed by Monumental side and by YouTube side?
Yeah, so essentially YouTube has come out and said that the reason why they aren't re-upping the deal with Monumental Sports is because they don't deem it to be fair that they are having to, that other customers around the country are having, the prices for Hulu and YouTube are going up. So let's say that they're going up, they're going to be charging, $7 more per month than what they were charging, last season. And so now what they're saying is that some of the costs that are being incurred are coming from, carrying these regional sports networks that they're saying aren't really giving them the viewership that is required for them to, basically make it, excuse me, basically that the revenue share that's coming in doesn't offset the cost and the raising of costs for people to be able to subscribe to these services. And so really that has put them in this weird position where, YouTube TV and Hulu have decided that it's cheaper to just not carry Monumental Sports because they would have to pay out a fee to Monumental Sports just to be able to run their programming on their services. And if they're saying that, people aren't really tuning in, then, I know that Monumental Sports has released their own, internal data saying that, that they're increasing 100% over, game by game, month by month. And it's like, okay, if those numbers were true, then, why is it that, Hulu TV and YouTube TV that they aren't willing to compromise and make a deal? Because who doesn't like money?
Right. And I think that's what's very interesting here is we've heard Monumental side of this, right? We have heard directly from Zach Leonsis, who is saying that he's trying to negotiate and he's not heard anything back. Isn't that right?
Yeah, well, he said he hasn't heard anything back, but the YouTube, they actually released a statement to Axios, and they said that, that they basically, the Jay-Z line, we don't believe you, you need more people. That's essentially what they told Monumental Sports about, the numbers that they're putting up. As far as their own internal reviews or internal rating system. And so, I think that, we really don't have all of the information. Like the Nielsen ratings for Mystics and Capitals and Wizards games isn't made public. So there's really no way to kind of verify how much growth that Monumental Sports is seeing. But I do know that, that they are really putting themselves in a moment of desperation by attempting to get on the internet and mobilize through all different types of methods. They have a website. It's called keepmonumentalsports.com. And basically through that website, you can go on there and basically sign in through your Twitter account or your Instagram account and automatically tweet out to YouTube TV their Twitter handle and say, oh, hey, I want to keep my DC Sports. Don't take our DC Sports away. And then YouTube, their bots respond and they say, well, we're going to we have to make it work out on this deal until September 30th. So now it's just a whole bot war. The bots are botting on the internet. And, to me, it honestly reeks of desperation from the standpoint of Monumental. Like, I don't understand what the purpose of going out and buying 100% of the stakes of it, what used to be NBC Sports Washington when they bought it and they converted it over to Monumental Sports. Like, what's the purpose of having your own network and having 100% ownership of it if you're still going to be, clanking around the cup, begging for change, begging to get on other people's platforms? And that's why one of the things that I wrote in that article was that, there isn't already a model that's out there that is kind of very predictive of where this future RSN model is going to be going. And that's what the Phoenix Suns did over the past 2 years by making their games free for everybody who lives in Arizona. They put it on not basic cable. They put it on actual network television. So, on regular NBC or ABC or CBS, one of those channels for, the representative in Phoenix. And I feel like the Wizards could do the same thing. Why couldn't they get a contract with, WUSA 9 and then, show Wizards and Capital games on that channel? And then and in turn, you're inviting all of these people who were, kind of locked out of access to watching games because, who has $19 a month to pay Monumental Sports to be able to stream? If you could watch games for free, then, they could subsequently make a lot more money on the back end by, having advertising dollars and promoting that will go a lot further, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, than sitting up here on the internet trying to beg Hulu TV to stream your games next week.
Right. And it also, well, I think, you see also another NBA franchise has done something similar as the Utah Jazz, right? They're putting it on a basic access cable television channel. And the reason is because it's tangible,
Yeah.
like these companies, anything that operates in the entertainment and television viewing space or even the radio space, you make the bulk of your funds through advertising and you generate advertised spends off your audience count. And the issue with streaming is that it has always been hearsay. These numbers are there's zero proof to back it up. So, and we're going to go a little bit inside baseball here, but for radio, when the audio radio stream is heard through a smart app or a smartphone, it is not encoded in the same way that it is over a terrestrial signal. There's an audio code that you can't hear, we can't discern it, but it is able to be picked up by a Nielsen rating pickup holder. And same with television, the same thing. There's an audio code that plays over the airways that they're able to measure that no longer exists on the streaming side. And so everyone who owns the streaming platform, they're the only ones who have access to these numbers. It has always been something that people have heavily criticized Netflix for when they're like, 80 million people watch this streaming broadcast. And you're like, I don't think that makes any sense at all, because how could your servers even maintain that in a live broadcast? It's all just fabricated and made up. And so we're hearing what Monumental is saying, but they're not actually showing anything that proves that that's really what the viewership is. And so for that reason, you could easily understand why it is that people at YouTube or people at Hulu, now Disney, would be like, this doesn't really add up on our end from what we're seeing on our metrics, because they also have their own measuring tools. And so when you put it over an access television channel, you then put it back to having the Nielsen numbers, which is a very flawed system. Do not get me wrong. Everyone in radio hates Nielsen. Everyone in basic television hates Nielsen. It's a very broken system, but at least it is something that everyone in a consensus agrees is a real measurement. And for that reason, you are able to monetize a lot more easily. It's a lot easier for your sales team when they have a real measurable number that they know that advertisers actually trust and can depend on. And so for that reason, I think that is absolutely the path that they should go. I do fear, though, that with the way that they have immediately responded, that is likely not the path that they're going to go down.
Yeah, the way that they have responded entails that they definitely intend to fight this until the bitter end. I believe that they're clearly putting in a lot of resources into trying to fight this. Like I don't know how much the average bots cost this day and age, but they are investing in it, and to me, I think that to me, I believe that they should probably be looking towards the future instead of trying to reclaim something from the past. Because, honestly, this is, to me, is a bad business model. The whole regional sports network entity. And to me, like I said, it just doesn't make sense to me as to why they bought 100% of NBC Sports Washington to convert it to Monumental Sports, to then be beholden to somebody else as to where and how they can show their programming. Like that to me just doesn't make any sense. If you're going to invest all of that money to have 100% ownership stake, then actually do something and take advantage of your independence and your freedom. And so I pray that that they come to their senses and are able to find a resolution. But if they aren't able to, then I think that the only people who are going to be hurt by this are basketball fans in the DMV.
Right, and the issue that we're really facing here is we don't know what the timeline is. I mean, we both mentioned that the current agreement ends September 30th, but I have every reason to believe that there will not be a resolution by then. And so that's only a few days away from now. And so how long do we think that this goes on for?
Yeah, so I think that there's like multiple different lanes that this could go. One of the scenarios is definitely that they come to some sort of brief resolution in which Monumental Sports will definitely be giving up a lot in the deal to get back on Hulu and YouTube TV. But they could come to like a brief 3-month or 6-month deal, to short-term deal to just get the games back on television with the NHL season starting October 9th and the NBA season starting October 22nd. So there is kind of like a stopgap there that they could go that route. Or like I said, I think that the biggest thing would be just the smartest move to me would be just a total shift in their approach to regional sports network right now. And I would, if I were running Monumental Sports, I would seriously look at trying to get them back onto television for free.
Yeah, and I think you bring up the regional sports there. This has been something that's a common thread. This isn't the first time that this has happened for YouTube TV and Hulu with live TV. Some of the key ones are NESN in Boston. That's no longer on YouTube TV. And then MSG Networks, which carries the New York Knicks is on neither YouTube TV or Hulu with Live TV. So, they're just the next domino to fall. And if those ones with those fan bases aren't able to force their way back onto Hulu TV and YouTube, or Hulu with Live TV and YouTube TV, that just kind of shows you what the leverage is looking like for DC. It's not looking pretty. And I think I'm in agreement there. We were just talking with Mike Callow, our very own Mike Callow at ESPN 630, host of The Line Change with Mike Callow every Monday through Friday on 3 to 5 p.m. on ESPN 630, just before we started recording here of how, really this is about to be the hot season for Monumental Sports Network, right? Where pretty much all their broadcasts are happening during this period in time. They pick up some regional college broadcasts. They have the Wizards. They have the Go-Go. They have the Capitals. It's that summer period where it's a really big worry because there are, we were saying a lot of Mystics games get picked up by national broadcasts as now structured with the new WNBA CBA. It's probably even going to be even more because there's going to be nonstop broadcasts on the national level, and there's only but a certain amount of teams in the league. And then, there's just about nothing else in summer broadcasting for them. And so that will be when this thing really probably comes to a head. They may find a temporary agreement to cover the regular seasons of these two teams. But once the offseason hits next time around, that's when it's kind of really game on. And if YouTube TV and Hulu Live TV couldn't come to an agreement with NESN and MSG Sports, then the only way that they come to an agreement long term is by, as you said, Monumental taking a really unfavorable deal there. And so that's what we have on this front. Isaac, I'll give you the chance to. How do you envision this playing out before we move on?
It's not going to play out very well. I think Troy hit the money on everything that I was thinking, that they're going to reach to a temporary deal, and then YouTube TV's like, we don't need you. We've already turned away MSG and Boston. Those are bigger markets than DC and Baltimore alone. And I wish, and with everything that's going on in media, because there's a lot of mergers going on with local broadcasting, that also kind of shortens the Wizards. It's like opportunities like, if we decide to go to the Suns route, who do we go to? There's already mergers happening with Nexstar, Tegna. So it's like there's already limited options as it is. So it really puts them in a tough spot. And I think the Leonsis and the Monumental board need to figure out, saying, man, we're really out of touch with our fans. We need to find a way to get in touch with them and find a way that's the best solution for our fans to watch our sports. But it's not looking good.
I think that was the key thing that you just touched on right there, Isaac, is the fact that I believe at this point that Monumental Sports is very much out of touch with their fans. And so the reason why they're taking the route of having to get bots on the internet and they're doing all these manufactured things. You can't manufacture the movement. You can't, these things are earned, not given. And so you just can't go out there and say, oh yeah, we're going to mobilize and tell people to call your provider and we're going to get something changed. This isn't Jimmy Kimmel. We don't have that type of capitalist power. And
they don't love you like Kobe.
It is. they
don't love you like that. They don't love you like that, which is unfortunate.
So I think that as a shrewd businessman that Ted Leonsis is, I think at some point he's going to have to realize that this may be a sunk cost. And hopefully he does the right thing for the fans, because this doesn't really affect him in any great sense. But people who are growing up and aren't be able to watch Wizards or miss these games like that has a drastic effect on the community. And so I hope that Monumental Sports is able to do the right thing and be able to get the teams on the air so that people can watch it at an affordable price.
Yeah, it absolutely does have an impact. And so for that reason, we will be maintaining updates as they come on this story in the weeks and months ahead, because this is something that it will not have an immediate resolution. We'll just follow it as it comes along. But something that is a little bit more immediate, as I said earlier, Will Dawkins had a press conference ahead of Media Day. This was a nice one where he was able to field a couple of questions from the media, answered a couple there. It was around 40 minutes long. Everyone that wants to watch it's available on YouTube, so don't worry, it's free. You could just go on YouTube and watch it there. But there were quite a few points that were brought up that I think are of note. The first, and this is just kind of a Troy flex day here, is this was actually the first time that Dawkins publicly acknowledged jump season by name. And so that was something that our very own Troy had actually reported on that a couple months ago. And he had actually talked a little bit about his intentions. Troy, do you mind speaking on that?
Yeah, so I love the fact that, the jump season is getting the proper due as far as the first of all, shout out to Will Dawkins for putting together a very comprehensive off-season workout program for the young guys to be able to come in, providing the access and a comfortable space for, those Wizards, for the young players to be able to feel like, okay, I don't have to go out of market or go to, certain trainers to work out. Like, I have everything that I need here in the facility, in the practice facility. And so, there were a lot of young players who, very much took advantage of that. And so, I think that the fact that jump season, really had its first really big year is that this is something that will hopefully carry on and move forward as tradition amongst Wizards young players. And, that goes a long way when it comes in terms of building an actual winning basketball culture. And so, I'm just glad that he's finally coming out there and really talking about some of these things in public and really giving, the props to guys like Bub Carrington and Keyshawn George and A.J. Johnson, who really were in the gym putting in that work this summer.
Yeah, and he publicly acknowledged them in those comments. He also, when you first brought this up, you had said the reason they were doing jump season was because they're trying to find dogs and they're trying to breed that dog mentality. He also echoed that same sentiment in the press conference. He said what they're looking for is a more connected, more resilient, and more confident roster, and that jump season was, they think, a way to help achieve that. Another way that they want to achieve that too this upcoming season is we'll be talking about the wings today and how many that there are on this roster. He also talked a little bit about that and how he wants to utilize the go-go a lot more this coming season to develop their wings as two-way players, and later confirmed that the expectation is that the roster will be battling for their spots. So I mean, Isaac, you're someone who's covered the Go-Go pretty extensively last season. What do you think this Go-Go roster is going to look like now that they're going to be trying to utilize some of the players that are on the Wizards roster?
Because there's not a lot of bigs and we have more wings, I can assure you we're going to see a lot of 5 out and a lot more situationals where they're going to rely on their defense as the offense, knowing how head coach Cody Topper thinks, and also the lovely GMs of Jonathan Wall and Marshall Foley. They're probably going to think, hey, we have enough athletes and gazelles who whatever is left over that we can fill and make sense defensively, and what the Wizards' philosophy is, we'll do it. So there are going to be some wings. If you're 6'8", 6'9", get ready to post up. Get ready to play 3 positions. So that's what's going to be more flexible about that.
Yeah, and you know what? I love my favorite quote from Will Dawkins from his media availability was, he said, last year a lot of stuff was given more than earned. This year that won't be the case. And so I think this really goes into the conversation that we're talking about with the wings, because there are so many wings, like they're not going to just be giving out playing time. And so there are going to be a lot of guys who are going to have to go out there and earn that. And that's going to come from going down to the G League and really, staying on the grind.
Yeah, and there's a lot of opportunity with this team. He also talked a little bit about the injuries. He gave a nice little update there. Some players who are healthy, which is good, some of whom that I weren't aware were injured. He had noted that Corey Kispert is good to come back, as is Trey Johnson and Will Riley. He noted that they were actually banged up a little bit after their stint in Summer League. And then he gave a little bit of an update on Bilal Coulibaly. That is that he is going to be reassessed shortly, but that he is currently expected to be out at least 1 to 2 weeks into the regular season. The hope was that he'd be back initially within that first week of the season. Now we know he is likely not set to be returning within the first week, possibly the first 2 weeks. What kind of opportunity does that open up for this roster, Troy?
Yeah, well, because there are so many wings on this roster, there are going to be some opportunities for guys to come in and play right away. So I'm looking at Keyshawn George. I'm looking at Will Riley. Guys who probably wouldn't, if Bilal was here, probably would have limited opportunities in training camp to be able to show what they can do. And, one of the things that I love about, professional sports is that, everybody comes around and gets, at least one opportunity. So, these guys really have to, come in the best possible shape and being as focused as they possibly be so they can, really take advantage of this opportunity they have in front of them.
Yeah, and some other injury news to get through. Alex Sarr, he was confirmed to be expected back within a week or two after the start of training camp. So the timeline there is about the same as what everyone anticipated.
I hope they really take their time with that Alex Sarr injury, especially when you look at how the calf injury to Achilles kind of transition over the last year, like that's nothing to be played with at all. So if it takes him, 2-3 more weeks, a month, like whatever, however long it takes for him to, get that calf as healthy as possible and prevent from having a more serious injury, then that's the route I think they should take.
Absolutely. I mean, those two players, both Bilal and Sarr, are the ones that everyone had kind of penciled in as starters for the season. And so taking it as cautiously as you possibly can with those two, if those are two players that you view as your foundations going forward, is absolutely going to be the case for this franchise. But moving on for A.J. Johnson, he apparently has a leg bruise, but he should be available at some point in the early preseason. He will not be immediately available at the starting training camp. And another player who wasn't aware was injured, Tristan Vucevic. He was apparently also hurt during Eurobasket at a hamstring issue, but he should be ready to go right now. So we've got now a couple of players who won't be available at the start of training camp. Isaac, what do you think that this does for those fringe players who are seeing an opening right now?
It's an opportunity. Don't waste it. There's the opportunity when you see that, all right, the guys that they already know that they want, that are guaranteed on this roster, they know what they're dealing with. This is for an unknown guy like an Alondas Williams or Alondas Williams or any of the G League guys to say, like, hey, consider me. I'm a backup. I'm a good, understudy here. So they're going to take whatever the opportunity is. And, don't throw up like Eminem, like Mom Spaghetti. Don't fold in there. That was a horrible reference, but I know what we're thinking here.
Palms are sweaty.
Yeah, palms are sweaty. Don't be nervous. Take yourself and lose yourself in this training camp and go as hard as you can. That's the best way to look at this opportunity. Take it. Don't waste it.
All right. Well, back to Dawkins. He also had quite a lot to say about a recent acquisition and hometown man Cam Whitmore. Isaac, what were your takeaways with Dawkins' comments?
My initial comment is that, Will Dawkins said, in the equivalent of, we're worried that if Cam can handle being at home, which made me wonder with questions of, are they worried that Cam might be distracted or the lights too big being at home, since he is, for the first time in a long time, he's the first DC 4 to 5 star recruit to really come back home and play. I mean, we've had guys that say, oh, they've had DC ties, like John Wall, dad's from here. Isaiah Todd, when he first came here, he was like somehow had some connection to DC.
Sadiq Bey
and Sadiq Bey, but we didn't get to see this. But yes, you're right. And with Sadiq Bey, but we didn't get to see Sadiq play, and we already knew Sadiq was going to be ready for it. But Cam is not Sadiq Bey, who is going to live in the gym and you have to drag him out. We think Cam has that work ethic from what we're hearing, but I don't know. That comment to me very kind of raised questions to me about that. But, we'll see. I'm curious to see how that goes.
Man, I don't care if Cam Whitmore has U Street every night. Like as long as he tries to play a little bit of defense, that's really all I care about. Like I understand what Will Dawkins' concern is there, and his line of questioning, that he brought that up with Cam, but. To me, I think that if Cam wants to get a section in Rose Bar every single night, as long as he comes out here and tries to play a little bit more defense than what he did last year in Houston, then he's good in my book.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm with it.
Echo the sentiments over here. All right, before we move on from this, Troy, what was something else that just caught your ear from that press conference?
I think it was really interesting to see Will Dawkins, talk about, Brian Keefe. And I'm still trying to figure out what I think about Brian Keefe as a head coach. So I know that the Wizards, their organization, I know that their front office, I know that they're trying to figure out, what it is with Brian Keefe. And so there were some interesting things. They were talking about, Keefe's system and, I really don't understand what his system is. So to me, I wish that there would be more conversation, and we'll get a chance to talk to Brian Keefe at Media Day on Monday. But to me, I think that is the biggest question as far as the development of the young players on this roster is that, do they have a coach who's going to be able to get the best out of this young group? And, what are the front office, what are they doing to kind of, build that support system around him?
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I guess we'll follow through with that in training camp. We'll see how it is that they run these teams in preseason. But let's move on to some quick notes on the Wizards before going to the break. First, Ace Bailey. It was confirmed last week that Bailey did, in fact, angle his pre-draft process in such a way that would increase his odds of landing in D.C. obviously that didn't work. And the
I don't know where would we have heard that from before? I don't know.
Another confirmed report on you. So just some more flexing for you today. But The Athletic confirmed this past Tuesday that Ace Bailey and his manager, Omar Cooper, have now parted ways. That's of note because, well, Cooper is actually the father of a player who's currently on the Wizards roster. Isn't that right?
Yeah, Sharif Cooper just recently announced that he's signing one of the last two-way deals for the Washington Wizards and will be playing with the Go-Go and the Wizards, which I found very interesting because you would think Omar's involved. Omar's not involved.
Oh yeah, Omar's not involved. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, Sharif Cooper separated with his father from as far as the agent or manager position. That relationship ended like 2 years ago. So. I think that this kind of goes back to a lot of the conversations that we were having pre-draft about Ace Bailey and some of the concerns that I had about what his development was going to look like. But to me, I think this is probably the smartest decision that he could make for his career. Going forward was to, kind of separate himself from this guy. And, I know that it's hard when you're young. I know he moved his family from Tennessee to Atlanta and, he supported him in a way that, allowed him to get to this point. But sometimes, you gotta hand the baton off to somebody else who's more capable and prepared to put Ace in the right position. And so, with how his pre-draft process went, I think that, it became very apparent to him that, he had to switch it up.
Yep. And from one could have been Wizard to a former Wizard, Jordan Poole just made his first comments on the trade that sent him to the Pelicans. During New Orleans Media Day, he joked, "I haven't seen a good screen in years." Troy, what do you think there?
I mean, I tried to search for the lie. I could not find it. He is not wrong. Like our big man last year, Alex Sarr, I don't know if he realized that he played center. He did as much time as he spent away from the basket. And Jonas Valanciunas, while he is a very willing screener, he usually rates in that second half of the pack back half of the pack as far as screen assists for a center. So he's never been one of those guys who is one of the best screeners in the NBA. So according to what he had last year, and then for the second half, JV wasn't even here. So yeah, so I see no lies in what Jordan Poole said. It's not like it was a direct. And that's like he was like, oh, we were playing with bums. He said no, this one specific skill they didn't really have, and so I'm not mad at him because he didn't lie.
No, he's not wrong at all. But elsewhere, the Wizards have actually officially unveiled their Gold City Edition jerseys, harkening back to the gold alternates they wore between 2006 and 2009. Isaac, how do you feel about these jerseys?
I like them and I don't like them at the same time. I think I'm ready to move on from the Bullets. Bullets color scheme. If they were going to go with the gold, they should have went all in and try to retro it completely, in my opinion. If you're going to do that and then give the reasoning on what the gold stands for and why the gold, they should have just went all in on it instead of trying to use the current, bullet scheme for that one. But, it was a good attempt. I like that they're being creative with it.
All right. Well, we talked about Monumental Sports earlier. Another little update here. Former member of the Monumental Sports team and Nova legend, Kara Lawson. She's now the head coach of the U.S. women's national team. That is something absolutely worth celebrating there. It's a pretty cool development. And continuing on the thread for women's basketball for the Washington Mystics, let's talk a little bit about them. Sonia Citrone and Kiki Iriafen, they both been confirmed for the Unrivaled League. Troy, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, first to Kara Lawson. Shout out to Kara Lawson. She was amazing here when she was during the play-by-play for Monumental Sports Network. That was one of my favorite things used to be going into the media room and getting a chance to talk to people like Kara Lawson and Megan McPeak and Monica McNutt, people who really know the X's and O's of the game. And so the fact that when she made that transition from announcing to coaching, I knew that, she was going to be very successful at that. And, I'm really glad to see her, continue to rise in the coaching ranks. And then as far as the Mystics rookies being able to signing up for Unrivaled, I'm very excited for them to continue growing as basketball players. And, if they can continue to show what they showed during their rookie seasons, then, fans are going to be very happy to be able to watch Unrivaled. And, hopefully they can take that momentum and build coming into next season and hit the ground running.
Yeah, absolutely. All it is, at the very least, is more runs, which can only really help. And ultimately, more paydays, which is great for them too. But we're going to take
Shout out to Paydays.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to take our first break here. The next time you hear us, we'll be going into this week's positional group previews, reviewing the Wizards' wings. This is the Capital Hoop Caucus on ESPN 630 and the ESPN 630 app. Welcome back into the Capital Hoop Caucus on ESPN 630. Alongside Troy Halliburton and Isaac Hodgkinson-Harris, I'm Wardell McCabe. You know, we mentioned Kara Lawson in the last segment, Nova legend, like our very own Isaac Hodgkinson-Harris. Another Nova legend, Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters. I'm only bringing him up because last Sunday, the Foo Fighters performed a surprise pop-up show at the Black Cat in D.C., so I'm experiencing some very serious FOMO right now. Kind of bummed out. But anyways... Last week, we started our series of positional group previews with the guards, and this week it's time for the wings. So we're going to review the off seasons and forecast each player's outlook and expectations for the upcoming season. We'll start first with a man whose name we've mentioned many times over the past few weeks, Keyshawn George. Isaac, what have you thought of George's offseason, and what are you expecting this coming season?
I think he had the offseason that we expected him to have, or that he should have after, an okay behind the shadow rookie season. He really showed out and really worked on his game. You saw the glimpses of it in Summer League. You really saw his game expand during the AmeriCup and really show he's like, hey, I could be the wing that you guys want me to be, the 3-and-D guy that can shoot and do everything. So I think this is a great offseason, and he really used that jump season to what it was actually for. He's like, I'm getting ready to work and get ready for this year.
Yeah, Keyshawn, to me, he was the most unheralded rookie of the three rookies from last year. And so I think that he probably had the most room for improvement within his game. And so, that automatically gives him like kind of a leg up on the rest of them because he had more to improve on. And he actually came out and got better. And so, when you looked at the fact that in the AmeriCup that he actually showed that he could handle the ball, he could, play make a little bit, and that, he still is, considered to be a premier defender for a guy of his age and size. I'm really excited to see what he can do with the opportunities that he'll have in front of him with Bilal Coulibaly being out to start training camp.
All right, let's move on then with Justin Champagnie. Troy, what are you expecting for Champagnie this upcoming season?
Yeah, I expect Justin Champagnie to continue building upon what he did for the Wizards last year. And going back and looking at, his stats, man, he actually, performed better than almost everybody on this list. When you look at the fact that he averaged 8.8 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, shot 51% from the floor and 38% from three. This is a guy who showed that, okay, I'm a professional basketball player. I am efficient, and I can go out here and I can and be versatile with doing many things. I can shoot the basketball, I can rebound the basketball, and I'm a tough-nosed player who's going out there and just trying to be a dog.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with him. Like, the only problem I have with Justin Champagnie is he's a Pitt graduate, but that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah, it's Mountaineer Nation over here. That's my only thing with him. But Justin Champagnie has a reputation like his brother. They're both hard workers, and they're both relentless on defense. And because of their 6'6" frame, makes them perfect guys to be that 3-and-D wing that can say, "Hey, I'm stepping in when you guys need me, and I can get you a bucket if you guys need me." They're the perfect glue guys, and especially Justin here, especially in DC.
Yeah, that's one thing you can absolutely say for certain for the Champagnie bros is they make every single minute of basketball matter for them when they're on the floor. It's very fun to watch them. But let's move on now to Bilal Coulibaly, a player who we just mentioned is injured. Isaac, what are you expecting for Bilal?
Just to get healthy as soon as you can, man, and try to be less stubborn and know your role and know the mission. I think he did a disservice to himself by this is not even like official or anything, but from what I'm assuming from a basketball player mindset, he tried to play and represent for his country because he thought it was bigger than him. But hey, this is a contract year for you. This is a big year for you to try to show that, hey, I'm part of this long-term future of the Wizards, who has first-round draft picks, salary cap, all throughout the next couple of years. I want to be a part of that, and I think he should have been a little more selfish and rather than selfless, like representing his country a little bit. And hopefully he just gets healthy, and when he does get healthy, show out.
Yeah, I can't disagree there that he probably should have been a little bit more selfish because you're going out there, you helping your country, but number one, you played poorly because you're out there with your hand wrapped up like the Michelin man, like it's all wrapped up like to me I think that he is in a very precarious position because like you said, it's his contract year. And, this is a guy who we know the things that he can do on the basketball court. He's a good defender. He's a good athlete. And, we're really waiting for him to show that he has an offensive game that would make him worthy of getting a healthy contract extension. And so, and in that case, you got to be looking out for yourself. Self-preservation is key.
All right, let's move on to Malachi Branham, a player that they brought in this offseason through trade. Troy, where does a player like Branham fit with this roster?
Yeah, man, he got to make it real uncomfortable for everybody in training camp. He's one of those people you coming in, if you're a training camp body and you know that okay, they got 6 guys that they were drafted by the organization. I'm not one of them. You got to come in and make it real uncomfortable for everybody in order to, look out for self-preservation for yourself. And so if I'm Malachi Branham, I'm coming in, I'm harassing everybody. I'm hacking. Look, I'm coming in. I'm doing whatever. I'm getting there early. I'm staying late. I'm shooting. I'm doing whatever it is, whatever I got to do to show that I belong here, that I deserve to stay. That's what you got to do.
Hacking in training camp is crazy.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Trust me. Trust me, man. Like that's something that I agree with, and someone who's been through a tryout process or seen like that with pros. When I got my only one pro workout in Belgium, yeah, they were looking for that. They were like, okay, let's see if we're going to spend that money. How much effort are you going to give me? Are you going to come in shape? Are you going to do the little things that these star guys aren't going to do? So if I was Branham, hey, man, you better find a way to fit in.
Yeah, you better get fitted for some football pads, for real.
You 6'4", averaging 5 points a game, between G League and everything. Nah, you better show that, hey, I can do more than what you see on paper.
All right, let's move on now to Anthony Gill, a player who's had a very interesting timeline this offseason. He was, released and then re-signed all in one offseason. Isaac, what are you expecting from Gill?
I hope he gets actually the going away tour. I not in a bad way, but I hope he gets that respect and honored. More people show him love and everything, because I don't think I want to assume that this is possibly his last year playing professionally in the NBA. So I want to assume that they show him honor. He's a great vet, and they let him soak it up for the year.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Yeah, I honestly didn't think he was going to make it to this year. So I think Anthony Gill's job is to go out there and make sure that Malachi Branhams don't go out there and mess up the whole team. So he got to be the guy when the Malachi Branham out there hacking everybody. Anthony Gill got to go in there and be like, yo, we got to try. I know you trying to make the team, but that's what your leadership is here for. You know what I'm saying? That's you got to make sure that everybody else is good and make sure everybody getting there on time. Make sure, he's a coach on the floor.
He's supposed to be blowing up the group chat.
Yeah, exactly. For real. So that's
and this is no disrespect to Mr. Gill. We love you, man. I'm going to try to buy you a jersey, but out of respect. So, yeah, no. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Corey Kispert now. Troy, with Kispert now being one of the elder players on this roster, which is crazy to say, how do you think he still fits into the fold here?
I think that he still fits into the fold because, he's a shooter and, that skill set is at a premium right now in the NBA. And so, if he can just continue to develop that jump shot and then also develop other aspects of his game, continue to get better at cutting and finishing around the basket. The one thing that I would love to see from Corey Kispert coming into this season is for him to be able to get off the ball a little bit if he doesn't have his shot and actually create something for others. So that's not I'm not saying he got to be running pick and rolls or something like that, but can we get the assist? Can we get 2 assists a game? 2? That's and it's real easy. If you're a shooter, you're getting so much attention. You got to know that okay, sometimes maybe I'm not on tonight. Maybe I should kick that extra pass in the corner. And so if Corey Kispert can get his assist numbers up and he can stay consistent as a shooter, then I think that there's definitely a role for him on this team.
I have to agree that driving kick has to be bread and butter for him this year. to really show, and that would actually increase his trade value because Corey Kispert is a serviceable player. Like, he is someone that, I think could be helpful for a playoff team if they can afford him. So for him, I think it's for him to show out and say, hey, I can do a little more than just spot up and shoot. I can be a target and get somebody else open and create an opportunity for that said person. And I mean, I'm hoping that he gets out of that stereotype that he's just the spot up shooter. I don't think he is. I think he's actually a good athlete for the most part and show a little two-way. So I hope this is a year for him. He's like, you know what? I need to do this and be a little more, not only just be a good vet, but be selfish and show that, hey, I can do more.
All right, let's move on to another vet known for his shooting, Chris Middleton, another player they brought in this offseason. Isaac, do you think that there's a long-term future for Middleton here in D.C.?
To be honest, I think it's a mix. Like, yes and no. I think he stays the year and he shows veteran leadership because he is a little expensive, to be honest, and he's getting older. And when you're older and expensive, it's like, we're trying to try to stay away. So I think he does stay the season. Beyond that, I'm not too sure, but at least for the season, he's a vet that's like, all right, if one of these rookies is not like hitting or not being like on point for one of these games, he's someone that you can rely on and say, hey, I'm going to give you this and I'm going to try to keep the boat afloat. And then the rookies will probably look at it, or the younger guys will look at him like, all right, that's how he's doing it. We'll take lessons from that.
Yeah, with Chris Middleton, you said he's older and he's expensive and he's injury prone. Like, this is a guy who is definitely going to be on the Wizards roster for the entirety of the season. Like, the percentage chances of another team like trading for him is almost minuscule. Like, there's no team is going to trade for him and his salary, $30 million a year, for a guy who's old, expensive, and injury prone. I think that the biggest advantage that he can give to the Wizards is just by coming in and being a professional and as you said, keeping the ship afloat, during those dog days of the season. And the thing that I do like about Chris Middleton is that he's a very underrated playmaker. He averaged 3.4 assists per game last year. And so when you look at, the fact that this team is, kind of struggling with, being able to identify the point guard of the future, there's gonna be plenty of opportunities for him to be able to run pick and rolls and try to get other players involved. And so, I hope that he just comes in. He keeps it as professional as he can be, and he sets a good example for the guys that are coming in behind him.
Yeah, one of those people will be Will Riley, recent draftee. Troy, what are your expectations for the rookie year?
Man, I think Will Riley is going to be one of those cases where when Will Dawkins was talking about earn, not given, I think that, and that players would get more opportunities in the G League. Like, you could probably, if there was a blank space there, you could probably insert Will Riley's name right there. Like, this is this is exactly who he's talking about. And so for Will Riley, I think one of the things that, his pre-draft, one of the cons that people were talking about him pre-draft was his lack of physicality. And so I would really just love for him to, just come out there, be able to play, gain experience, but, go through the, NBA weightlifting program to, work on his body and to be able to use those G League experiences as, a real stepping stone that'll help him in the future. So I'm not really looking as far as him coming in and contributing right away. He's young. He's still, I believe he's still 19 years old. So, this is a guy who, his future is paramount for the Wizards. And so him having a very structured rookie season where he can work on his body and actually get playing time, I think that'll be a good start to his career.
I think my biggest thing for Will is to become best friends with Chris Middleton and follow your fellow Canadian Keyshawn George everywhere like a puppy and really, really learn from those guys and go through the process. Do not rush this. You're 19. You're one of the youngest guys on this roster. And if they tell you go play in the G League, average 40 in the G League. If they tell you to do this, do that, hey, you're going to sit on the bench, you have to sit extra hours in the film room, you do that. Everything counts for Will because he has a lot of high potential, especially being at 19 and not a lot of weight on him yet. The sky's the limit with him.
All right, let's move on now to Jamir Watkins. Isaac, what are you expecting for Watkins?
I hate to say it, it's almost like Malachi Branham, man. Like, you got to be a little more physical and show that, hey, you deserve to be on this roster. You were a second-round guy and a fringe summer league guy. You weren't even the main featured of those guys. Like, all right, let's just see if he is. And because who knows if they're talking to you about other teams. Your goal is to stay in D.C. as a second-round pick, and it's hard for second-round picks to stay with their organization halfway through the year, especially when trades can go around, especially in the G League draft coming up. If I was him, try to scratch and survive, man.
Yeah, I'd get fitted for some elbow pads, some knee pads,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Get all the pads, shoulder pads, what's it, the rib cage pads, like whatever. Get all the pads, and you go out there and you just try to make life a living hell for the rest of the players. Like to me, his calling card and mark that he's going to leave on the NBA involves him being a dog, and so you might as well start that now.
Ribcage pads like Cam Newton.
Exactly.
I wore those. I wore those when I was playing in college. I wore those
Exactly.
playing. Oh yeah.
All right, let's close it out here. The final wing on the roster, Cam Whitmore. Troy, what do you expect for the local man?
Whew, man, this Cam Whitmore, I believe, is the biggest wild card on this Wizards roster, regardless of position. This is a guy who has shown that, okay, he can score the basketball in this league. But, for a team like the Houston Rockets, who is, fancies themselves as title contenders, like for them to, trade him away, like I think doesn't really bode well for, his perspectives as a all-around basketball player. And so what I want to see from him this year is we know you can score the basketball. But I want to see him be able to come in and focus on those other aspects of his game. I want to see him, he's never going to be an elite defender, but at least show that you can defend. He's never going to be an elite, playmaker and ball handler, but show that you can make plays and show that you can handle the ball. So I'm really like the scoring stuff. Like I don't care if he comes out and he drops 20 points a game and we win 10 games. Like that doesn't really do any good for the development of him or the rest of the team. Like I want to see him try to challenge himself in other aspects of his game and try to build himself up.
I have to agree with that. I think my biggest thing with Cam is if they ask you, this is a good time to prove that, hey, you are a pro, period. To show that you can do what's asked of you. Hey, we want more of you on defense, or we want more of you to score. We know you can score. Can you do other things? And I think that comes to the statement that Will Dawkins said, can you handle being back home in D.C. when everyone's telling you, oh, man, you could do more. You can do this. I don't know why they're holding you. And also just being in that distraction, all the noise, because I know the fans are going to come try to see Cam Whitmore. They're going to try to come see him. So I think that's something that can he block out the noise and do what they ask and be a pro's pro, this will be the best year for him in his career.
All right, well, that'll do it for this week's positional group preview. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below or by texting into the show. And hey, while you're doing that, go ahead and send along any questions that you may have for our show around the Wizards, because next week, not only are we reviewing the Washington's bigs, but we'll also be opening up the mailbag to answer your questions. You can do so by dropping a question in the comment section below on the YouTube video here, or by texting us into the show at 833-377-6630, or clicking message the show in the episode description of the podcast, or even by messaging us on social media. Where, Isaac?
At Cap Hoop Caucus and the Capital Hoop Caucus on X. Oh, so sorry, Cap Hoop Caucus on X, and then Capital Hoop Caucus on Instagram.
That's right. And as I said earlier, we have some merch, and so just by entering in, you have the opportunity to win one of these pins. Go ahead and pick that up right there, Isaac, and put it up to the camera right up close. That one right there, your chance to win those. Everyone is automatically entered in if you just submit a question. We'll follow up with you to try to get your address, and we'll take care of shipping and handling, everything on that end. You just focus on sending us a question, then you have the chance to win a pin right there. All right, we're going to go to commercial again. When we get back, we'll launch the full court press. Check in on the WNBA playoffs. You're listening to the Capital Hoop Caucus on ESPN 630 and the ESPN 630 app. Good morning. Welcome back into the Capital Hoop Caucus on ESPN 630. Alongside Isaac Ajikam Harris and Troy Halliburton, I am Wardell McCabe. Thank you for waiting through to the other side. It's about time in the show for us to run the full court press, which is when we open up the show to discuss the rest of the association. And folks, it is playoff time in the W. So we're going to go ahead and review what's happened so far and preview the games ahead. We'll look at the 4 teams remaining in the semifinals. But first, let me ask you both, what's been the biggest surprise of the playoffs to this point, Troy?
Oh, the Indiana Fever winning around and playing as well as they've been playing without Caitlin Clark. I think that, that is the biggest surprise to me. I did not expect the Indiana Fever to be in the conference semifinal or in the WNBA semifinals without their star player.
Outside of the Fever, which I do agree with that because it shows more about how the Fever's constructed rather than just losing their star player, Caitlin Clark. Phoenix getting, Phoenix showing out and actually proving that, hey, they belong at this industry. And shout out to the growth of women of the WNBA playoffs. Notoriously, they've been historically known as to be bumped and put in different arenas, or they have to be, there. The Phoenix Mercury have been avenged by bumping off the Jonas Brothers and saying, no, we're more of a priority. So that shows how historic this playoffs are. It's like, nah, we're the priority now. And the Jonas Brothers in that beef are actually supportive of that. So that I'm just happy about that. Surprising, man, look how far we've come as basketball fans and for the WNBA as a whole.
Yeah, it's definitely a great growth to see there. But let's talk a little bit more about the Mercury. The first series in the semifinals right now is the Lynx and the Mercury. The Lynx being the number 1 seed of the playoffs, Phoenix being the 4 seed. Minnesota won game 1 on Sunday, September the 14th, 82-69. But the Mercury, they avenged that in game 2 on Tuesday with an 89-83 win in overtime. Game 3, for everyone who is listening, is actually happening later tonight, Friday, the time that we're recording this. Isaac, what's the anticipation like for game 3 here?
Yeah, I'm looking at game of the weekend. The Phoenix Mercury have shown that they are relentless and they don't care about what everyone is picking, the Lynx, thinking that Nafisa was robbed out of the MVP or she should get her title after last year. They don't care about the narratives. They're just like, no, we're here to play. And we're here to show that we can do this. Alyssa Thomas is out here showing, he's like, you guys keep dissing me this entire year off of random stuff, not giving me my flowers. I'm going to force you to watch Phoenix Mercury basketball, and same with DeWanna Burner. Like, they look amazing and they look gritty. And when you have a team that looks and gritty, they have nothing to lose, it's very hard to defeat them.
I think that the Minnesota Lynx, they blew a 20-point lead in the last game. I think they come out and they win by 20 tonight. They avenged that. I think the Lynx are the best team that's left in the WNBA. They were the best team for the entirety of the season. And I feel like they're going to take it personally that they took that loss to the Mercury, blowing that 20-point lead. So I would expect them to come out and have a big game tonight.
Yeah, definitely coming out with a fiery vengeance. You'd have to assume, but it should be noted in the playoffs, the strategy has actually changed a little bit and the system, how it works. So the first 2 games are actually in Minnesota. So this game tonight is actually going to be in Phoenix. But let's go ahead and switch over to the second best team of the WNBA, at least second best team in the closing stretch of the regular season, that being the Aces. They're also tied 1-1 in the semifinals, and the aforementioned Indiana Fever are those who are pushing them in that one. Las Vegas won game 1, 89-73, but Indiana won game 2, 90-68. So 2 blowouts in these 2 games. Troy, are you expecting the same thing in game 3, or is this one going to be a little bit closer? No,
it's going to be the same thing. The Aces, I don't expect the Indiana Fever to win another game this season. I'm just being honest. A'ja Wilson, shout out to her. She won the MVP since the last time we recorded this show. And I was very strong with my opinion as to why I believe that she should have won the MVP. And she's just on a heater right now. I expect her to come out and, like, the way that she's been playing for the entirety of the WNBA playoffs, like she's like really like just on her Jordan stuff right now. Like, so I don't expect the Indiana Fever to win another game.
I wouldn't even say Jordan. I think she's on her LeBron.
Okay,
right now.
Like,
she's like, this is for her showing, like, stop leaving me out of these conversations. Like, almost like, so I kind of have to agree with Troy. Like, the Aces, like, no, we're here for a reason, and we want Minnesota, and we're going to take that as long as we can, because A'ja Wilson is showing that I want to be considered the GOAT. She's the only 4-time MVP for the WNBA. 4 times. So she's like, no, I need to reset my dominance because people are playing about my name. So, like, it is what it is. So, yeah.
All right. So it sounds like you both have possibly Minnesota and Las Vegas going to the finals. Let's talk about some of the teams that have been eliminated. There's been quite a bit of moves already made on the coaching front. Isaac, has there been any coaching changeup that has been shocking to you?
I'll be honest, no. Because there's 2 reasons. One, I think Sandy Burlow, for the first to start off with the New York Liberty, I thought she was going to lose her job if they didn't win the title last year. She was always like, I love how all the media has been saying, oh my gosh, why did she lose her job? No, she's been on the hot seat with them for the last 2 years because she hasn't been able to try to cohesively get this team with so much talent together. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see anyone lose their job, but, like, oh my gosh. I'm not shocked. You have the best roster that money could buy that isn't the Aces or Minnesota. You should be winning championships after championships after championships, or have at least better chemistry. They haven't done that. She's actually underperformed based off everything. Now with Seattle, the only reason I say I'm not surprised is because, well, they've gone through a lot of scandals and there's a lot of stuff and drama going on. So at that point, you got to remove the situation because you have possibly a generational player and a generational rookie that with Dominique Mwanga that you do not want her to be influenced by that toxicity on whatever was going on.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. The Seattle thing, like they fired the entire staff. That's when everybody got to go. That's not surprising at all. There rumors about the I don't know, like just the tension that was going on in Seattle was that was not very much secret across WNBA Twitter. And as far as like you said, and then with Sandy, if the Liberty didn't win the championship last year, she wouldn't even got the opportunity to come back this year. So, shout out to her for at least winning that ring. And so, I think another thing though, with there becoming so many expansion teams coming in, I think that she'll probably get picked up and get another job fairly quickly.
All right, but let's again stick to the teams who were eliminated. Troy, of the teams eliminated to this point, who do you think is going to have the toughest offseason ahead?
The Dallas Wings. Are we talking about of anybody, not just the teams who made the playoffs?
Of anybody. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the Dallas Wings have the tough because number one, they're another team where there's a lot of tension around some of the players there and the coaching staff. And I believe that eventually they're going to have to come to a decision of what they're going to do with Arike Ogunbowale. And, I don't think that she is long for being down there in Dallas. And so to me, I think that, that they need to come to a decision as far as what they're going to do and really hand over the keys of the franchise to Paige Beckers.
All right. No, Isaac, same question.
Chicago Sky. I think they have come to a crossroads, and there's a bad pattern here with how they've dealt with Angel Reese as a whole. And there's also says a lot about the organization. This team about 5.5 years ago just won the NBA title with a Hall of Famer, and that Hall of Famer did not want to stay in her home city and keep winning or help build off that championship run. And they've gone through 3 different coaches then, and they did not let go this coach that they currently got because I have a weird feeling they can't afford the buyout. With that, and you have an unhappy first-round pick that is also in draft and also in trade conversations, the Chicago Sky need to figure out their identity and figure out if Angel Reese is part of that identity for the future. And I don't know if they're taking the right necessary steps to do that right now. I'm very concerned.
All right. Well, we'll just keep following the path ahead for the WNBA playoffs, which you can watch on ESPN and ABC. We're going to take one final break here. On the other side, we'll have trivia time from the line. This is the Captain Hoop Caucus on ESPN 630 and the ESPN 630 app. Welcome back into the Capitol Hoop Caucus. I'm Wardell McCabe, joined by Troy Halliburton and Isaac Hodgkin Harris. We thank you very, very dearly for tuning in to today's show. If you're just joining us, do not be upset. Do not take me out. Please allow me to catch you up on what you've missed. We've discussed the news that Monumental Sports Network may soon no longer be available on YouTube TV or Hulu with live TV and the impact that could have on DC sports fans. We also recap Will Dawkins' recent press conference and given some quick updates on Ace Bailey's change in management, Jordan Poole's comments on his time in D.C., Kara Lawson's new gig, and Kiki Iriafen and Sonia Citrone's winter plans. And we also continued our positional group preview with the Wizards, this time focusing on their wings. And then we had the full court press recapping the WNBA playoffs to this point. And if you missed any part of today's show, if it's giving you any FOMO, what I just listed off, do not worry, because you can always catch the podcast on your favorite podcasting platform. And while you're there, be sure to give us a rate and review. Now, Isaac, I just ask you real quick, what time is it?
Trivia time?
That's right. It is time for a game, and it means that I have to take my leave to make way for our next host. everyone, and welcome to Trivia Time from the Line. I'm your host, Guy, and you all know the name of the game, but let's get to the aim of the game, which is this. To score more points than your opponent. We'll have 5 minutes on the clock, during which our contestants will have to correctly guess as many players' names as possible in a surprise category of our choosing. Let's meet our contestants for this week, Isaac and Troy. Now, Isaac, let me ask you something. If you can guess today's prompt, I'll let you take a 3-second peek at the answer sheet. What do you think we're going to be guessing this week?
For starting fives on opening night.
That's exactly right.
Oh, wow.
So you get a 3-second peek at the answer sheet. You're going to come over here because that timer starts right now.
Like somebody might have already got a peek.
No,
One
I'm
Mississippi.
being dead serious. Oh, man.
He's not taking advantage.
You're
so.
gonna that's not the answer sheet. That's the
Oh.
All right. Well, 3 seconds is up, and he just blew his opportunity just like that. That's right.
There's
He'll
no
be
way I'm
naming
gonna check for that.
the opening day starting lineups for the Washington Wizards between 2000 and 2011. When you make your guess, please provide the year, then the players who started at point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and
Wait,
center.
the entire starting five?
That's right. The entire starting five.
Yeah, this is horrible.
You only get a point if you can correctly guess 4 out of the 5 players who were there in the starting lineup.
Why go back so far? Oh my God, this is brutal.
Now, let's name the season opening starting lineups for the Wizards between 2000 and 2011.
Jesus.
We'll start first with Troy.
All right, let's go. Let's go 2001. I know the shooting guard was Michael Jordan.
That is correct.
The small forward was Rip Hamilton.
Yes.
The power forward was, or the center was Kwame Brown.
No, it wasn't. You can get one wrong, though. Keep going.
Let's see. The power forward was. Oh, this is rough. Jahadi White.
It was. One more. You got to get one more right.
Oh, I know the center for this.
Ooh, point guard who started at the point. Ooh. Nah, that was it. Was that Chris Whitney?
No, it wasn't. Oh, Isaac, your turn.
2011.
I can't believe
In 2011 starting five, point guard John Wall.
Yes.
Small forward Nick Young.
No.
Oh.
Can you sweep the rest?
Center JaVale McGee.
Yes, it was.
Small forward Caron Butler.
No.
Oh.
Go back to Troy.
Ugh.
All right, let's go. Let me go with these years I know. Let's go 2006. Let's go. Point guard was Gilbert Arenas.
Yes, it was.
Shooting guard was Deshaun Stevenson.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Small forward was Caron Butler.
Yes, it is.
Power forward was Anton Jameson.
Yes, sir.
And center was Brendan Haywood.
No, but you still got the point.
Okay, yes.
Isaac.
Dag, that's crazy. Can I go with 2000? Center Christian Laettner?
No.
Oh my gosh. Power forward Hubert Davis.
No. Let's go to Troy.
Go back to my 2001. Point guard was Ty Lue.
No, it wasn't.
it
Not on
wasn't.
the opening night. Isaac. Or actually, Troy, you can actually still get the rest.
All right, say Jordan at the 2, Hamilton at the 3, Jahadi at the 4. Who played center on that team? Eton Thomas.
No, not that year. Let's go back to Isaac.
Ooh. Can I try? We have 2008. Let's try Gilbert Arenas.
No.
Oh, 2008. Damn.
He was going under some controversy.
Right. Can we give a starting center, Eton Thomas?
No. You got 2 wrong. Let's go back to Troy.
All right, let's go 2007. Let's go center, Brendan Haywood.
Yes, sir.
Power forward, Anton Jameson.
Yes, sir.
Small forward, Karan Butler.
Absolutely.
Shooting guard. The point guard was Gilbert Arenas.
Yes, sir. And that
That's
means
like
you
at
get
a
the point.
Yeah, okay. And then the shooting guard was, I'll go with Deshaun Stevenson.
You got him.
Okay,
5 for 5.
yeah, let's go.
Isaac.
Oh, my God. Okay. I'm going to try 2010 here. 2010, John Wall.
Yes.
No, Gilbert just left.
That is correct.
Gilbert just left. So John Wall, JaVale McGee again for the center.
Yes.
Shooting guard has to be who's on the Andre Miller?
No.
No.
You got to have one more wrong.
Small forward. It wasn't Garrett Temple?
No. Let's move on to Troy.
All right, let me go 2011. John Wall at point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Crawford at shooting guard. Andre Blatcher, power forward.
Yes.
And JaVale McGee at center. I
Another
get a
point for Troy. Isaac, can you get the last guess?
Oh. Let me see. Try 2003. I'm going to try here. Actually, yeah, 2003 here. Michael Jordan as shooting guard?
No.
All right, we're already wrong there. This is not looking good. Oh, man, 2003. That's a. If it's not. Yeah, I'm out. Oh, wait. No, Juan Dixon at point guard.
No.
No. All
All
right.
right, he definitely ain't never started.
Man,
Shout out,
you know how old I was in 2003?
Shout out to Juan, though. You know what I'm saying? Real Housewives of Potomac. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Coppin State legend.
Let's go through the starting lineups you weren't able to name in 2000 at point guard. They had Rod Strickland. Next to him, they had Mitch Richmond, Felipe Lopez, Jawan Howard, and Jahadi White. 2001, the one that Troy couldn't quite get. Point guard Courtney Alexander.
He never played point guard in his life. What the hell?
He did for this one game.
Oh, my God. I would have never got that. He's never played point guard before. He's not a point guard.
At
oh my
2
God.
is MJ. 3, Rip Hamilton. 4 and 5 were Christian Leitner and Jahadi White. 2002, Larry Hughes, Jerry Stackhouse, Byron Russell, Christian Leitner, and Kwame Brown. 2003, Gilbert Arenas, Larry Hughes, Jarvis Hayes, Kwame Brown, and Brennan Haywood. And then 2004, surprisingly enough, point guard Juan Dixon.
Wow. Wow.
2, LaRon Prophet. 3, Jarvis Hayes. 4, Anton Jameson. And center,
rough year.
Michael Ruffin. Real Ruffin.
That's real.
2005, Gil at the point with Antonio Daniels, Anton Jameson, Jared Jeffries, and Brandon Haywood. 2008, Antonio Daniels, Deshaun Stevenson, Karan Butler, Anton Jameson, and Brandon Haywood. 2009, Gilbert Arenas, Mike Miller, Karan Butler, Fabricio Alberto, and Brendan Hayward. And closing it out in 2010, John Wall, Kirk Heinrich, Al Thornton, Andre Blatch, and JaVale McGee. Let's tally up the results and see that your winner this week, 3-0, Troy. Troy, what do you have to say for the people?
It's lonely at the top.
And Isaac, what do you have to say? You're muted. Anyways, that does it for us here at Trivia Time for the Line. Bye. All right, guys. What was the score this week? Who won?
I feel like this
That was the hardest one. That was
This
rough. That was I'm mad I didn't get that Courtney Alexander. That's like cheating. Like Courtney, I didn't know. And then like the Juan Dixon one, I could get like okay.
I think there was something rigged because from 2000 to 2003, how the hell was I supposed to? I hate to show my age here, but like there was no way I could remember. Yeah, like Courtney Alexander was a point guard. You know how old I was in 2002 when I was trying to deal with? I was trying to deal with preschool. Like there's just that's not fair. Like from 2000, 2003, come on. I was like getting ready to start kindergarten. I barely knew what basketball was.
I was just learning my letters.
I was learning the letters. You think I was worried about who's starting for the Wizards?
Ooh, well,
Like, ugh, God.
better luck next time, buddy. You'll knock them dead next week. I believe in you. Anyways, it's time for the last shot, which is when each of us has 24 seconds to speak on anything basketball related beyond the limits of the DMV. Whether it's a shout out, hot take, personal gripe, whatever it may be, now is the time to let it fly. The only rule is that when your 24 seconds is up, the microphone will shut off. Isaac, are you ready to take your last shot?
Yes. It is not a basketball take, but this is something that I have to announce. And before you guys laugh and crazy, I have to shout out to my mom. Happy birthday weekend to her and my aunt. They listen to the show weekly, and they've always been supporting me. So shout out to my mom. Happy birthday, and enjoy your weekend trip.
Happy birthday. Yeah,
Happy birthday, moms. That's fair. I was about to cut you off so quick, man. You saved yourself a good one.
No, I knew what I was doing. It's my mom's birthday. You think I'm not like, oh man, I'm not Eminem here. Like, no, gotta respect Mom Dukes.
All right, Troy, you ready to take your last shot?
Yep. Man, shout out to Asia Wilson, 4-time WNBA MVP. Mind you that she's only played 8 years in the WNBA. So that means for half of the seasons that she's been a professional, she's been the most valuable player. If that ain't greatness, I don't know what is.
Yeah, and like irrefutably. Right?
It's crazy. Half of my years, I'm the MVP. Talk about it.
All right, I'm going to take my last shot. We've been talking about broadcasts today, so I just wanted to continue that thread, I guess. Amazon Prime, they've been like unveiling their on-air analysts in a slow rollout of sorts, one of which includes Wizards legend John Wall, but another one they just announced yesterday, Kyle Lowry, who's still under contract with the Philadelphia 76ers. Far be it from me to criticize that, but like, how's that going to work? Like, what does that even mean? All right, anyone, that's just about does it for us here. Thank you both for joining me on today's show. Troy, for everyone at home, where can they get more of your work?
And you can always follow me on the platform formerly known as Twitter, but now X at Troy Halliburton. And please go and subscribe to my Substack, Ideal Taste, where I write about all different types of musings.
All right, and Isaac?
You can always find me on Ike Irie on X, and then Isaac _Ajikum 224. And then now with the college basketball season started, you can always find me on 810 Talk and find my college basketball coverage as well.
All right, where can you follow the show?
You can always follow the show on X at Cap Hoop Caucus and on Instagram, Capital Hoop Caucus.
All right, well, thank you both again so much for joining me for this week's show, and thank you all at home for joining us here at the Capital Hoop Caucus. If you missed any part of the show, as I said earlier, you can always check us out on your podcast feed, wherever it is that you get your podcast. Just type in Capital Hoop Caucus in the search bar. You'll find us right there. You can also find us on YouTube. So when you find us on the podcast feed and when you find us on YouTube, go ahead and click on this episode, watch it all the way through, give us a like, give us a comment, and then subscribe if you can. Spread it along to all your friends and your family just because it helps to grow the show, and that's what, we want to do is we want to reach more basketball fans in this area. And hey, if you're listening on ESPN 630, then stick around because we have, a whole lot of college football coming up. Right after the break, you'll hear the college football tailgate with Amber Wilson and Jonathan Zaslow as they broadcast live from Athens, Georgia to preview the ESPN college football television broadcast of Georgia and Alabama. And from there, we'll head right into the Orioles Radio Network presented by Sprinkler Fitters Local 669 as the O's are in their season closing series against the Yankees. First pitch is scheduled for 1:05 Eastern. When that game ends, we'll then transition into ESPN Radio's college football coverage of Ohio State at Washington, beginning at 3:30 p.m. Eastern with Mike Cousins, Jordan Reed, and Mike Peasley on the call. And then we'll close out the night with some more ESPN college football broadcasts with Oregon at Penn State. Kickoff for that one scheduled for 7:30 p.m. Eastern with Mark Kestisher, Kelly Stufer, and Ian Fitzsimmons calling that one. And all those broadcasts will be airing live on ESPN630DC.com, the ESPN 630 app, or 630 on your local AM dial. Signing off for Isaac Ajikum Harris, Troy Halliburton, and myself, Wardell McCabe. This has been the Capital Hoop Caucus, reminding you that the most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. So read as much as you can, and share as much as you've read as you can. Be kind to one another. We'll talk to you all again at the same time next week.